Hello, Reetvik. How are you doing?
Hi, Poonam. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me over. How are you?
I'm doing well too. So, congratulations on getting admit offers from ISB and McDonough. How does it feel?
Thanks. Right now it feels good, but in hindsight, I had like contrasting, emotions regarding both my admits. ISB was my first admit, right? So after that, it was more of a sense of kind like validation that we have been working so hard for, an admit for a while, and we got it. So that felt nice. But for McDonough, it was more of a sense of relief and surprise because the result date, you are a bit anxious, you are waiting for call and everything. I'm checking the forums, GMAT club and other forums, people are getting calls. I was not getting a call, I didn't get any mail as well. So I was like, okay, this ship has sailed as well, no problem. But before wrapping up the day around 12 a.m 1 a.m, I thought, okay, let's see the portal. Once I saw portal, I saw the decision there, and I was like, okay, this seems like an admit letter. Let me go through it again. And yeah, so that was a sense of relief that, yeah, what we targeted, we achieved. So yeah, great feelings all around now in hindsight.
Of course, I know you told me there was a lot of drama before you finally got the good news.
Yeah.
Anyways, all's well that ends well. You have two admit offers and you accepted one. So, Ritvik, can you tell our viewers about your academic and professional background?
Sure. So I completed my BTech in computer science from VIT Vellore in 2020. And ever since then, I've been working as a software engineer, not a typical profile of software engineer in the sense that I work in the field of DevOps, which is basically cloud and infrastructure management. So a bit different from what a typical software engineer does. But that has been my role, DevOps engineer, later on senior DevOps for my entire professional career. So initially, I worked at an early stage startup called Lunik for around 2 years, right at the start. And, I helped them grow from, say, a 50, 60 organization to, 200, 300 employee organization. And recently, I switched over to a company called Innovator, which basically handles health tech. And I've been working here for close to around 9, 10 months now as, again, a senior DevOps engineer. So that is that's a bit about my professional journey so far.
Right, thank you. So you decided to apply for an MBA program with only 2 years of work experience. Usually people apply after 4 or 5 years of work experience. What inspired you to go for management education at this stage of your career?
So there are a lot of pros and cons of working in an early stage startup. So one of the main pros is that, there's no limit to the responsibilities which you are given. It depends on how much you can handle. So I think I leveraged that really well at the start of my career, in the sense that I took on more responsibilities, even though when if I knew I was getting overboard, but I was like, okay, let's take it, let's see how it works out. So because of that, I was really lucky to work with some senior professionals and some stalwarts of the IT industry, whether that be senior engineers, architects, or even CXOs. So for a project, I was I was directly reporting to my CEO for 2, 3 months, and I, worked with him on a like real personal level. So that gave me an idea of the path which I was on, and where I'll end up if I continue down the path, right? And that didn't click with me because that was too technical in nature, right? I didn't want to restrict myself to a particular implementation or technical domain. So that's when I realized that, okay, this is fine now, because one thing is clear, that I love tech, right? That's why I did engineering. I want to stay in this industry, but I want to have a different kind of impact. So I need to get technical expertise, but what happens after that? So that's when I started researching, and if saw that, okay, MBA has something, what I want, the kind of impact I want to have in my career. And after that, I thought, a couple of years in, I thought, okay, I have gained the technical expertise. If I'm clear on what I want to do, why wait, right? Let's give it a shot. And anyway, like at the start, I thought, but okay, GMAT is valid for 5 years. Let's give the GMAT and let's take it one step at a time. And those one step at a time led me to you. We had our initial communication, and then, things took on from there.
Of course. So how did you demonstrate leadership in your previous role, in your 2 years of work experience?
Right. So, right from the start, right, 1 year in my professional career itself, I was, given more responsibilities. Like we were talking about, I was given a senior position, and with that entailed leading a team. So besides the first year, out of 2, 3 years which I have worked, besides the first year, the rest of my professional experience, like I have been leading teams, whether that be 6 to 8 people. So, and anyways, I think right from the start itself, before my professional career as well, I'm a kind of guy, who doesn't shy away from giving his opinions and, stepping in when he doesn't feel something is going in a proper direction, or, at least debate around it. So I think my organization picked up on that and provided me with a team to lead. So it was a lot of, learning as you go, because it was all new to me. So leading team, stakeholder management, and, managing the goals of the team, as well as making sure that you are not burdening them too much, as well as, meeting the deadlines, because at the end it's all about that, right? So had to strike a balance. So I had my ups and downs there. I'm not perfect, but yeah, learning as I go, and hoping MBA can help me better that, and not only teach me new stuff, but also rectify the things which I might have been doing wrong till now, or better than.
Of course it will. Yeah. Now let's talk about GMAT. GMAT is a critical part of the application, MBA application. And you took about 4 months to boost your GMAT from 710 to 720, although you aimed to boost it to 750. But then finally you decided, okay, I'll take a plunge with 720 itself. So do you have any advice, any suggestions about GMAT prep?
Yeah. So in my first attempt itself, I got a 710. So initially I was like, okay, I've crossed that 700 barrier. It's the 91st percentile. So I was like, okay, happy. So what's next? This seems easy enough. But then a bit of research, and then we had our initial contact as well. And then, yeah, I realized that, okay, from the category which I come from, Indian IT engineer, male. So this is a below par score, no matter, what anybody tells you. Right? Schools will always say that it is one, component of the entire application. It is, but for us, for this category, it's a very critical component. So even after our discussion, we were on the same page that, okay, we require, at least another 20-30 points minimum.
Exactly.
So that, that will put us in a very good position. So I tried that to boost that from a 710. So I was achieving the subsectional scores, but it didn't click for me together. One attempt, I got a V41, and I dipped in my quant score. Another one, I got Q49, but I got a V38. So it was clicking, but in parts. It never clicked together. And I don't know you realize it or not, but it was really helpful that you reached out to me when you did. 4 months in July something, that, okay, Reetvik, my slots are filling up. I only take a limited number of people, so you need to take a call whether you'll be applying or not. Because at that time I was totally into the GMAT prep. So I was like, I was only thinking about GMAT. I was thinking, okay, let's see what will happen. Let's focus on GMAT right now. Then you reached out to me, and then I was like, okay, I need to take a call now. So anyways, like we had a discussion, you said that even I can apply next year. So it's not a do or die situation for me. So I thought, why not, let's, give it a go, right? Let's see what happens, because what's the worst that can happen? I won't get an admit. I'll have next year as well. It's causing no harm. And I'll have more familiarity around the process, because B school applications was something new to me, the kind of introspection which you require. As in, yeah, Indian students, we generally don't do that, right? What are my goals? You just give an exam and then you focus on the results. So I thought, let's give it a go. What can happen? Anyway, if things don't work out, I'm applying in round 1. I'll have time, to give the GMAT again. So yeah, we took the plunge and yeah, we started working together.
Yeah, you had both the options, either apply next year or apply this year with the current GMAT, and you decided to take a shot with 720 GMAT. And we started working on your round one applications in mid-July and completed applications for 5 schools before round one deadlines. So that was a record time in my view. And I never faced any issues with timelines with you. So I would like you to share your applications planning, application strategy. How did you manage to complete all your work and all my tight deadlines within such a short period of time?
Yeah. So once I decided that, okay, we'll be taking the plunge, I was like, okay, either you are all in or you are, whatever you do, do it all in, right? Don't go half-heartedly. So our initial communication also, we realized that 5 schools in, say, just a bit short of 2 months, because our deadlines were in second week of October, I think, second or first week of October. So we were like, this is a bit of stretch. We were also planning about applying for 3 schools in round 1 and maybe 2 for round 2. But I, didn't think about all that. I just had this, I left all the preparation, all the timelines to you. I just had one agenda that whatever timelines, whatever task you are giving me, I need to complete that ASAP and not also compromise on the quality. Take the time which is required to do it properly, but not think of it as, say, that you have given me a deadline of I require this by weekend, right? So not wait until that I have, say, 4 or 5 days. Try to get it done in, say, a couple of days if possible, without compromising on the quality. So I just did that. Whatever tasks you gave me, just try to do it as fast as I can and leave all the timeline prep guidelines to you, whether this is good or not. I felt this is good enough. Please, Poonam, have a look. You say good, okay, let's go to the next step. Otherwise, okay, again. So I did that. I left everything to you, just whatever task you gave, kind of like homework, right? Do it on timeline. And I think all our iterations were in a couple of days. I would send you an edit, and then you'll edit it and change in couple of days. You'll respond within a couple of days, and I'll do the same. So yeah, we were able to finish everything before the deadline itself, right?
Exactly. I'm so
before
grateful to you. I'm really grateful to you for following my tight timelines of 24 to 48 hours. And you even accommodated with my vacation plans in the last week of September. We finished everything before I flew out for my vacation. So I'm really thankful to you for that. It was
Yeah, I'm thankful that you had a timeline, you had a time plan, right? So which I could follow. I just had to do my homework like back in high school. So yeah.
So I was good in giving you homework. All right. So as we know, you were unable to convert your interview offers from Tuck and Foster in round 1, but you remained positive and determined and followed my advice of applying to more schools in round 2. Can you tell our viewers the factors that contributed to your success in round 2? How did you improve your interview skills in particular?
So what I figured out, from all the application process was a critical thing is managing expectations, right? I struggled with it during round 1 a bit. We had 2 interviews, from Tuck and from Foster. And I think both of my interviews went really well. Now, I don't know how it actually went, but from my perspective, it looked fine. Tuck The Tux one went a bit better because that was conducted by a second-year student, so I was able to get a read, whereas the Foster one was conducted by an AdCom member. So it was tough to get a read from him. I wasn't able to reciprocate things, but still, I feel it went well. And I got result times, right? So Tuck, I didn't get a result, and I was like, okay, because no matter how good your things are, how good your interview went, I always had that at the back of mind that Tuck is, it can go either way. So I was still okay after Tuck, but the Foster result gotten a bit disappointed. I was mulling over things for a week or so, that, because everything aligned with Foster, my career goals, tech industry, my targets for the tech industry, Foster's affinity to tech. My score was above their average as well. So everything, felt well. I was expecting a result from them. I didn't get it. For a week or so, I was mulling over the result. Oh, what went
I know.
wrong? How can this happen? You were disappointed as well. But
I know.
after a week, I thought, okay, what's the way forward, right? I can't be, mulling over things and, being sad and things. I need to learn whatever could have possibly gone wrong and move forward. And that's what we did. And that's when you suggested that, apply to some top 20, top 25 schools as well, because I feel as internationals, right, and like especially Indian internationals, we have that T15 or bust mentality, that either it's T15 or it's nothing, right? And I had the same mentality,
I know.
because that's how we research. But you told that there are some really good schools beyond top 15 as well,
Right.
and have a look at them. And then I did my research, and then we decided on a school list. And McDonough was within them. So yeah, and after that, what I learned from round one was that, okay, let's see, whatever will happen will happen. It's not, it doesn't, not to confuse this with taking things easy. Prepare everything, but not overthink things like I did for round one with Foster, as well as another disappointment was not getting a call, interview invite from UNC. So
I
that was a bit disappointing as well. But after that, I was like, okay, I've had my fair share of disappointments. What's worse that can happen, right? Let's just do, I'll just do my stuff and then wait for the results, not think much. And that's the mentality I went with. And answering your interview skills question, I don't think I did anything, specifically to improve my interview skills. I just followed the same pattern what I did earlier, research on the questions which are generally asked, try that in front of whether that be in front of a mirror or, in front of a camera itself. Try those out. And I was pretty confident about my communication and interview skills, because just a few months back, I had shifted my, job as well. So I was in that
know.
interviewing phase itself, although different kind of interviews, but the typical interview habits are the same. So I was pretty confident about that. So yeah, just went with a positive mindset and didn't overthink things, and that worked out decently enough.
Perfect. I totally agree with you. It's your positive attitude that worked well for you. And McDonough, you would love it at McDonough.
Yeah.
I can say it for sure. So what was the most challenging aspect of the application, and how did you meet that challenge?
Right. So I think I like two of the aspects were the most difficult. Difficult than the other aspects. First one was the GMAT prep, because not the prep, but the exam taking habits. Because the curriculum, the studying part is still okay. That's you won't find that very tough. But the other part is your test taking habits, your test planning, because especially me and the other Indian people, right? Because we don't have experience with such kind of tests, adaptive tests. And
Yeah.
over there, it's about mind games as well. What I mean by mind games is that not overthink stuff, because I'll tell you what happened on my second attempt, right? So I do the verbal section first. I was going through that. Towards the last part of that section, I was like, okay, these questions, they look easy. I was solving them, but I was like, these look easy. Why am I getting the easy questions? Must be because I tanked the verbal section. I must have not done well enough. So I had that break. In that break, I was like, okay, so my this attempt is gone. Let me just get through quant. And I started doing quant half-heartedly. Already the next attempt's preparations were going in my mind. And at the time of result, I got a good verbal score. I got a V41, but quant I tanked. Quant I got Q47. So I would have gotten a better result if I hadn't overthink stuff. So one part is the test taking, aspect of it, that not think too much about the adaptive part of the test, and just focus on the exam, one question at a time. It's more easier said than done, but still focus on one question at a time, not think before and after.
Right.
That's one aspect which I personally struggled with. And the second aspect is the introspection part. Again, this was all new for me, writing essays. And more than writing essays, it was because you were there to help me out with that. But like what
Introspect.
my, yeah, introspection, what my career goals are, uh, what are my strengths, what are my weakness, who is Reetvik, basically. So I had never done that. So that introspection part was pretty new to me. And we were on a timeline as well. So I, found that part a bit difficult. So yeah, I think these two aspects were, I found tougher than the other aspects.
Many students have told me that self-reflection is the most challenging aspect of the application process because it requires deep thinking into your stories, what matters more to you and why, what do you want to do, why do you want a particular school? So
Yeah.
all these things, and mainly who you are as a person. We never think about it.
I had never personally thought of it. Who Reetvik is? Who cares who Reetvik is? Let's get let's get done with our stuff. But all this thing without, any facade or anything, reality of things, that how you are, what your goals are, what do you actually want to achieve in life, and how you want to go about things. That part took time for me. And the initial doc which you shared about, that master doc, having all those questions about which covered everything from my professional background, why I have done what I have done till now, my family, and all those things, my goals, everything. So I think that took a bit of time. But after that, once, I was able to think all that and we had our master doc, we were able to get through stuff because we had an idea. But yeah, that was a bit tough for me.
True. Many students have told me that the questionnaire helped them find themselves, find their true self. All right. So all we know, you belong to the overrepresented applicant pool, which makes things so challenging for you. So can you share insights into how Indian male IT can distinguish themselves from other applicants?
Right. So as Indians, we have competition everywhere. Right? There's no shortage of Indians anywhere. You go to do any stuff, there will be Indians there.
True.
So, and more specifically for an IT engineer, what he needs to do is, first thing, like we touched upon earlier briefly, the GMAT score. You need to have at least a 730 or 740 as in, Indian IT engineer male, because, that's what they expect, from our category. Because you need to have that score, no matter if it's one of the components. If you think that you'll be able to compensate with the other components as well, you might be. But what I feel, it's very difficult to stand out if you have a subpar GMAT score and then stand out from the rest of the application as an IT personnel is difficult, because I and you might have, we both are IT engineers, we might have worked on different things, but those are technical things. They seem the same, right? So one as the first most important part, no matter who tells you what, you need to have that at least 730, 740 GMAT. Besides that, you need to quantify things. Like you also pointed out many times in my, whether that be my resume or my essay, you need to quantify things. Okay, you have done this particular accomplishment, or you have done this on a technical base. What impact did it create for the organization? Because we as engineers, specifically IT engineers, tend to forget that. We get impressed by, because we know, right? We get impressed by the technical accomplishments which we have done.
Right.
We forget to quantify things, that, okay, whether this has saved money for your organization, this got a new client or whatever, right? So by quantifying things, you'll be able to differentiate your accomplishments and provide your accomplishments a meaningful ending, right? Because without that, the person won't be able to understand. You don't know what background he's from. How does it seem impressive unless you quantify things? One is that, second is that, and the third thing is that no matter how technical we are in nature, you'll always have at least one or two hobbies which you are really passionate about. Not, some people might like traveling, but that's a very generic kind of thing. There will be a couple of hobbies which will be specific to you, whether that be a sport, like in my case, it was sport and gaming. So be passionate about your extracurriculars, because you might not have that many extracurriculars, but the couple of things you are passionate about, have in-depth knowledge about that. Just don't write it for writing's sake. So I think these three things will,
Exactly.
at least that's what we focused on during my application, for distinguishing myself.
Yeah, good point. And sometimes, in the interviews, you discuss your hobby that you are passionate about. I
Yeah.
remember you told me that.
All my interviews, I had this question, and in two of the interviews, like one of my hobbies is football. In two of the interviews, the Tuck interview and the Georgetown interview, for 5-10 minutes out of the 40 minutes, 5 minutes, I had discussion around the Messi versus Ronaldo debate, right? Because both of my interviews were from South America. They were on one side, I was on the other side of the debate. So that went on for 5 minutes. So yeah, you need to be thorough about what you mention as your passion or your hobbies, right?
Yeah.
So that will definitely be asked.
Exactly. The admission committee members want to see all-rounded, well-rounded personalities, not a person who is good only in front of the computer.
Yeah.
So, and that you were able to demonstrate.
Hopefully.
Now let's come to recommendation letters. Recommendation letters are crucial parts of the application process, as they provide third person's perspective on your professional abilities. So I don't remember you had any problems with choosing recommenders or guiding them or following up with them. So can you share your insights on your recommendation letter strategy?
Yeah, I didn't have any trouble with the recommenders. I was pretty, fearful of this fact, because that's one part of your application where you are depending on someone else to do,
Exactly.
take out time from their schedule for you, right? So that was a bit of a fear for me. But luckily, the thing is that wherever I've worked, I've been able to develop some, personal relationships as well. So I was lucky enough that I had these two people who recommended for me, because I know them in a professional capacity as well as a personal capacity as well.
Wow.
So I think one factor which is often underlooked is that, your personal connection, your comfortability with your recommender. I could have also asked the CEO of my previous organization to write a LOR for me, but that would have been more impressive from a designation point of view, what that guy has achieved. Okay, a CEO is writing LOR for me, but I went against that because I felt that these two people, I had a sense of comfortability with them, because I could ping them up whenever that, hey, please, can you, speed it up? Or, I have my deadline by this, please, can you have a look? Or, whatever iterations we had, that, okay, whatever they had, can you please make some changes here? Okay, this seems like this and all that. So they were open to that. It's not like, just get it over with for them. And after I got my admits, I also, I had dinner with them. I treated both of them for helping me with this process.
No,
So I
you
think
did.
that, so I think that was their motivation all along. But I'm happy that, they helped me out really well. They met all our deadlines and everything, and they were really helpful. And
Absolutely.
it comes back to the personal connect which I had with them. They were my seniors, but we worked in a professional. One of them was, my senior, like throughout my internship and my full-time, job as well. I was directly reporting to him, but we had that personal connect as well, and that's what paid off ultimately. So yeah, overall summary: go with a person, rather than the designation. Focus on, how comfortable you are with them and how well they know you, because then only they'll be able to
Exactly.
reflect who you are. Yeah.
Yeah, Reetvik, you have provided a very helpful advice. It's not only for professional connection, but personal connection as well. That helps you with this critical part of the application process. Yeah. So you were accepted into two good programs, ISB and McDonough. But you decided in favor of McDonough. How is McDonough the best school for you? What were the factors that contributed to your decision to go for McDonough?
Right. So at the start, when we started applying, like I heard always had that goal that okay, I wanted to gain that foreign exposure, right? Work in a different environment, get to know different kind of people, and see how the world works, somewhere else. So that was the initial target. But your research before application and after you get the admit is quite different. Initially, you are thinking about the average GMAT scores, the essays, the ranking of the school, the career outcomes and everything. But after you get an admit and you have to choose between schools, different factors come into play, like
Right.
the ROI, your comfortability, your lifestyle, and the impact which will have, which you hadn't thought about before. At least I hadn't. So that's why I think I was in a confused state for a week or so when I had both these admits in my hand and I had to choose an offer. So I had a discussion with you as well, and your answer was an emphatic yes towards Georgetown. So that helped things along. And after that, I had a discussion with my family and my friends as well, and they also helped me understand that your initial goals were always to gain that foreign exposure and everything, work in a different kind of environment. So why are we thinking things again? Because what happens was ISB was kind of like a safe choice for me, right? Comfortable in my comfortability zone, because I would have had to work less, not from an academic point of view, but from a lifestyle perspective, that I know how
Right.
things work in India, the college, curriculum process, not having to cook things on your own. Uh, so those were the things. But yeah, I needed to gain that foreign exposure, and I wanted, because my career progression has been good till now, but I wanted that impact. And I felt that Georgetown was able to provide me with that impact, a much larger impact than what ISB could have provided, because I've worked in Indian companies, right? A
Right.
couple of Indian companies, both on the spectrum, an early stage startup as well as a well established company. So I wanted to gain that exposure and have that impact. So I felt Georgetown provided a bigger impact. And besides that, I also felt that Georgetown is, like you also pointed out, a location plays a key factor, which I hadn't considered before, my application process. But Georgetown being in DC, you also sent me a couple of articles when I was in two mind, how
Yeah.
DC is and everything. So that fit with what my goals were, as well as its affinity towards tech. I also had a couple of sessions with the career team over there, who sees the
Okay.
tech. I directly mailed them. I was in confusion, right? I directly mailed them, hey, hi, hope you're well, I had these doubts. So they were able to help me that Georgetown primarily is looked upon as, say, a consulting and finance heavy school. So
Mhm.
but its tech affinity and its tech outcomes have been improving in the past, not couple of years, for the past 5 6 years. And it plays provides outcomes into tech, a good amount of students, and it has a good tech pipeline as well. So that fit with my goals, as well as the community, I felt, because whoever I reached out to, right, there were few of my college connections over there as well, my undergrad connections over there.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
good.
didn't know them, but alumni, my undergrad college alumni, they were there. And whoever I reached to, in whatever scope, they were able to help me out with stuff. So I felt, initially you don't pay much attention to the community and think, okay, like I'll handle it on my own. But as you move further along the process, you require that it actually is about networking and making connections. And I felt that Georgetown was pretty good on that aspect as well. I connected with a person who just started his internship, and things were really hectic for him. He just shifted to a new place and everything, but he still took out time, on half an hour call with me. So these were the things which
Oh, yeah.
ultimately helped me decide. So yeah.
Yeah. Community plays a big role in your decision. And if you were comfortable with the community even before joining, nothing like it. It's a great thing. I think I would like to talk about video essay also. So you had submitted video essay for your Tepper application. Can you provide your suggestions on how to go about video essays in application?
I think that was the one aspect where we had a lot of back and forth. All our other iterations of essay were like rapid, right? I would send an iteration, you would be happy with it, you would make some changes, that process will go on again. That was seamless. we only had a bit of roadblock in the video essay. Say that first time I was like, okay, I'm only sending it to you for review. I sent when I was, sleep deprived. The attire wasn't good, the lighting wasn't good. I sent you it and you replied, what is this? This is not how you're supposed to do for video essays. So there was a lot of back and forth in that. But ultimately, because the part which I was missing was taking this video essay similar to like it was an interview, right? So the goals, the questions. So whatever answer you have, you need to act like you're speaking to a person, not like a recording or you're recording a video. So I think small things play a lot of factor into
Oh, yeah.
video essays. Yeah, which you pointed out, right? Whether that be looking at the camera directly, not thinking, not read from a script, or not seem like you are making things up along as you go. You have not memorized things. So these are small things: your attire, your lighting, your sitting position. So these are small factors which are not necessarily which you firstly think about it, that okay, this I need to consider for a video essay, but these small things ultimately play a role.
Oh,
So
definitely.
yeah, so you helped me a lot with that, in that aspect, that I was taking it a bit easy, that okay, this is just for our purpose, right? So let's do it. But you're like, okay, you gave this advice, look into the camera. Why you're not looking into the camera? It seems like you have memorized it. So yeah, that took us, I think, a week or so. But
Yeah.
yeah, small
Because,
things. Small
yeah,
things are the game changer for video essays.
of course, these small things are the game changers. You should look pleasant, not like you have just gotten up.
Yeah, that happened in one of the iterations. One time I was sleep deprived, one time I had just woken up. So
So I really think that the prospective applicants would benefit from your experience and your suggestions. So let's talk about your interests and hobbies. We know you are into sports.
yeah,
What
so
other hobbies do you have?
I just had two hobbies, which I was really passionate about. I could have said a few things as well, generic things, but I wasn't too passionate about them. So every interview, I just used two, hobbies. One was football, sports, and the other one was gaming, because these are pretty okay. Football might be a bit common, but gaming is something which people rarely mention in their, MBA applications, at least from the experience
Right.
I have had, right?
Yeah.
But this is something which I've been passionate about from the start. A lot of my free time goes into that, and we had used this in few of the essays as well, the video gaming aspect. So whatever, just simple two things about using hobbies: whatever helps you stand out and whatever you are passionate about, right? So I just used these two things. Like in the interviews you mentioned, for the 5 minutes or so we had Messi Ronaldo debate, I was firm on my ground that no, I think this guy is better. So yeah, just be passionate about the things which you mentioned there and be clear about them. No matter how small you might think they are, it all
Right.
plays a role. So we also had like the questions which I asked the interviewer. It was regarding my hobbies itself. Like Georgetown, I wasn't able to see a dedicated football or soccer club. So I asked about that what's the scenario over there. And, we had a back and forth regarding that. He also told me a few people who I could connect with, who were handling these things. And yeah, this helped me, to get into some, icebreakers as well with the admits and some seniors as well. So yeah, no matter how small you think things are, they all play a role.
Of course, they do. Ritvik, it was really wonderful talking to you today. And is there anything that you would like to share that I haven't asked?
Like always, you have covered everything. It's just that I would like to end up with saying that, for the entire application process, everyone has their own journey. You just have to, manage expectations a bit and always remain positive, in the sense that even if you don't get an admit from a particular college, it's not as if it's not a question about your candidacy. It doesn't make you a less of a candidate,
Exactly.
because school admits are sometimes, a bit tricky. You don't know what will happen, but if not school A, you will have school B. So, always remain confident about your candidacy, and, because it doesn't make you less of a candidate if you don't get an admit. So I think my journey shows that. So yeah,
Oops.
just remain positive and don't overthink stuff. I've done that plenty, whether that be GMAT or my application process. Don't overthink stuff. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's a very helpful advice to prospective applicants. I'm sure this interview and your valuable insights will help the prospective applicants who are just going to start their journey. Thank you so much for your time today. It was great talking to you. I wish you good luck with your journey at McDonough, with your time in DC, and continued success in your career. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Poonam. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.